Dredd 2012 makes me so mad. Another rant about the 2012 Judge Dredd remake starring Karl Urban. I watch this movie every couple months. It's a tight 90 minutes movie that does exactly what it is supposed to: grim, dark, gory action movie, possibly starting the Judge Dredd franchise while honoring the raid that it was based on. Some corny moments, but the writing is solid, the action is great, and the music and effects are pretty damn good for how tiny of a budget it is. And the fact that nothing ever came of it, that it's just a footnote in Hollywood, drives me insane. Not every movie needs its own franchise series, but this could have been just as successful as John Wick, and yet the studios said, nah, no thanks, in fact let's actively sabotage its release. Rant over. Edit: so it wasn't based on the raid, just read that. Still both good movies with similar concepts, I enjoy them both. Also, the debut trailer music is chef's kiss. I can't say with full certainty how essential the script was to this movie, but having gotten more into the comics, I think it played the biggest role. It was written by Alex Garland, as well as the talented and prolific co-creators of Judge Dredd, John Wagner and Carlos Ezquerra. When I saw those three names pop up upon re-watching it, I was like, well, no wonder this is such a great Judge Dredd movie. $13 million domestic gross. Some of that is the fault of whoever decided this had to be pushed as Dredd 3D, but people simply didn't show up. Funny though, in a time after Avatar, when theaters were clogged with awful fake post-conversion 3D, Dredd had pretty damn good 3D. Unfortunately, dystopian future cyberpunk genres aren't as popular with general audiences as I wish they were. Loved Dredd, loved Blade Runner 2049, loved Alita Battle Angel. I'd watch anything within this genre, feel free to suggest. Maybe as more people watch these movies on TV or streaming services and appreciate them, eventually we'll grow into a big enough audience to turn some of them into billion-dollar franchises. I certainly hope so. What happened up there? Dredd drug bust. So freaking badass. Mom is not the law, I am the law. My wife and I love that movie and Karl Urban. It's a travesty this movie doesn't get the love it deserves. Citizens of Peach Trees. Love it. Action after action, little dialogue, no romance. Solid 8/10 movie. It wasn't based on the raid. The beginning 5 minutes explaining the state of society with that music really sets a dark, chilling tone, the best opener to an incredible ride. I really feel this would excel as an hour-long series with Karl Urban reprising his character. It was glorious in 3D at the theater. Bought the Blu-ray to support a possible sequel and hope that one day it comes to fruition. It got made and it's awesome. What else do you need? Great movies don't need disappointing sequels. In fact, most great movies don't have sequels because the artist's vision was fully realized and holistic. I'm much more happy that it came, instead of sad that it's gone mindset with my top movies. I have beef with it cause it started an argument with my friend about how the drug worked. It slows down your perception of time, right? I think I argued that it has to be a stimulant that drastically speeds up your neurological process, such that reality seems like it's going in slow motion, but also your motor functions are blunted so you can't act quickly, and also you're all fucked up and confused. He like, no, it slows shit down. Maybe people should have gone to the damn theater and watched it. Then we'd have a sequel. Agree with everything you said except the part about being based on the raid. I don't know why there are still people claiming Dredd ripped off the raid or vice versa. They came out in the same year. They were both from pre-existing comics. The only thing they have in common is the barest plot outline of good guy battles through belittling floors to get bad guy at the top. Dredd and the raid were filmed at the same time on opposite sides of the world. Apparently it's all just a coincidence. I feel you. It's pretty much a perfect film and definitely leaves the viewer wanting more. So much so that whenever people post here about great flicks that deserve sequels, it almost always gets mentioned and is a high-rated comment. The real-world futuristic adaptation of the environment is cool. And Carl Urban, Lena Headey, and the others actresses do a goy job. Geez, who cares? Do they really need to drag it out with sequel after sequel like John Wick? Just be thankful they made a movie you liked and didn't have to beat it into the ground. If a movie loses money at the box office, then studios will rarely back a sequel. And sure, the movie has reportedly made its money back over the past 10 years in home video sales, streams, broadcasts, but studios are probably even less likely to back a sequel in 2023 than they may have been a few years ago. And that's because they're out of the spending like crazy game that the streaming channel war brought. It's not based on the Raid. Psych Judge Dredd comics were full of corny moments. I absolutely loved this movie. A bunch of friends share that sentiment as well. It was what I remember 90s action flicks being, but better. What do you mean nothing came of it? It's a great movie. It's like Pitch Black or Event Horizon, it's good by itself. The 3D in it is totally amazing. I have a 3D projector and active shutter glasses, which is not as expensive as you'd think, and a PlayStation 3 to play the 3D Blu-ray disc. I have a collection of 3D movies, and that is definitely one of the very best since it was shot in stereoscopic 3D 2 cameras side by side. I don't think I could watch it as frequently as you do, though it's so harsh. I imagine that's why it didn't catch on as a franchise. Interesting to compare it to the John Wick movies. I've come to appreciate it in isolation. Before Ex Machina, Alex Garland did a great job of elevating pulpy stuff. Dredd is the best example of this. It's tight, brutal, focused, and smarter and better than it had any right to be. I think any sequel now will be a different creative team and be disappointing. But like you, I rewatch this every few months and love every minute. I feel the same about the A-Team from 2010. My desire in movies are simple, fun and funny. You can mix in drama, suspense, intrigue, mystery, romance, whatever, but fun and funny rule the kingdom. I'm fine with it being a standalone gem. Most sequels suck and franchise movies usually feel unsatisfying because you know the story hasn't really finished. When he fights the dirty shelf. It's not a remake. It's not based on the Raid. I would have absolutely watched a second one. One of my favorite action movies. It was a perfect little movie. It's such a good movie, and it deserves more love and respect. I wish we could have gotten another one. Also, Dredd never took his helmet off. I misread Dredd 2012 makes me so hard and was still going to upvote. So hard. It really is a cinematic masterpiece. I can't believe there was never any follow-up. Every single fan of the franchise that I have spoken with thinks this is the perfect cinematic adaptation. It's shocking we haven't seen more follow-up here. While honoring the Raid that it was based on. Considering work on Dredd started before the Raid and they released within a few months of each other, this statement is incredibly incorrect. Just the fact we got 3 Divergent movies and 1 Dredd movie.